This is Secret America with your hosts, Jack Danger and James Clary.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jack Danger along with James Clary, and it's good to be back. As I said last time, I'm excited to do this show. It's a fun show, and we get to get things out there that, most people don't know about, like what Tulsi Gabbard actually said, how Operation Mockingbird. Now, this is something we already kind of knew, but there was no confirmation of it. How she said that Operation Mockingbird is actually still ongoing. And we as citizens knew that, but there was no real confirmation of it. She said that she is trying to shut it down, but believe it or not, as the director of national intelligence, she found out that it is still ongoing, and that the left wing version, I guess, or the part of the CIA is actually leaking things to the media outlets and still trying to control narratives. I mean, that's why you see the media seemingly lying to you all the time. It's because it's the CIA actually telling them what to say, because when you control the narrative, James, you control the people, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I think people knew this, but it's very disheartening. I mean, if you look at the media coverage, really, I mean, let's just take the last 10 years, since Trump first came on the stage. Look at the whole Russia thing. Look at the J6 narrative. Look at the COVID narrative. I mean, it's obvious that they're feeding, in many cases, false information, much disinformation, and many things that they're not saying. Lies by omission are lies nonetheless. They tried to turn ivermectin into horse dewormer. They, said J6 was the worst riot since the Civil War, the Russia thing, which we know were lies. And the thing is, they know it's lies. That's what's sad, Jack. But, a lot of it has to do with money, power, and greed.
And I mean, you're right. That's exactly what it has to do with, especially the power. The power means everything, because when you have power, all you want is more power. So you're willing to do whatever it takes until you can get that ultimate power. That's why every country that doesn't have a constitution like America eventually turns into a dictatorship, falls, and then it starts all over again. I mean, it's happened, throughout history. It's a song. It's a story as old as time. It happens all the time. And it's amazing to me, though, that the director of national intelligence actually came out and said this. She actually confirmed this to the people. Now, do you think you're right about the whole ivermectin thing? People don't seem to realize ivermectin won the Nobel Prize for medicine. It's not just some random horse dewormer. These people put out a narrative to actively kill American citizens. That was what happened here. Ivermectin could have saved a lot of people, but instead they downed it. They said, "Oh no, you're crazy for taking horse dewormer paste or whatever it is." It could have saved so many people from COVID, but because of the narrative out there, and like I said, the narrative controls at least half the population. A lot of those people didn't take ivermectin, and it could have saved their life. How many different stories do you think there are like this, where they are willing to actually have American citizens killed, James, just to put out the story that they want?
Yeah. And, and it's not just things like, shutting down people getting alternative treatments like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. It's also the protocols that the CDC and the NIH and the NIAID under Fauci pushed on hospitals. And these hospital protocols came with a fat check. If you followed the protocols, you were given a check, which often involved remdesivir, which is, this needs to be, in my opinion, this is more of a story than the Russia collusion. What they did during COVID, like you said, Jack, it killed millions of people. I just got a message from a gal, SMACAR 73. Her father died. I interviewed her on my radio show. I interviewed her and her mom. So her father and her mom's husband, who was a veteran, had served in, honorably in combat. They put him in the hospital. He had like a mild cold, but he had a little trouble breathing. They put him on a ventilator, put him on 3 days of remdesivir, and he was dead.
That's what killed people a lot, was the ventilators.
Yes, the ventilators. And she cannot get a freaking lawyer. This is a whole nother subject. She cannot get a lawyer to take her case. Now, I know that there's been a few lawyers out there saying that, they'll take the case, but take these type of COVID cases. But, unless people are made to pay for this, nothing will ever happen. Her mother just passed. I just got a message from her mother. Was such a sweet, brave, strong lady. Not only did the disease kill millions, Jack, the vaccine killed or injured thousands, and the protocols were what killed many of the millions. Who's that doctor? She's very well known. She was just on, I think, Tucker's podcast recently. Not Bondi. I'll think of her name in a minute. But
I know who you're talking about. Starts with a B. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a general practitioner, and she found if she got her patients out in the sun, which is a whole nother topic, but gave them ivermectin, that they almost all, 100% of her patients were covered. Yet the hospitals would take a healthy guy like SMA's father, put him on remdesivir, and throw a ventilator. And if you've ever seen someone ventilated, it is a horrific, invasive process.
Yes, it is.
And what do they say? 80% of the people that go on a vent never get off. So, yeah, I think that's the next big crime that should be investigated.
Oh, definitely. And the amazing part is that, it's not just that, but well, actually, you know what? I want to talk about how Andrew Cuomo put all these people in nursing homes and they died, because of the ventilators and things like that. And then he was the governor of New York, that he almost won the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City, which is shocking to me. And then you've got, Ma'am Donnie now, who is the communist who will win, by the way. As much as I'd like to see anybody else win, there's no real candidate against him. You got the current mayor who nobody wants in there anymore. And then you've got some random Curtis Silwa from Republican who nobody ran against.
Well, so, who that guy is, by the way?
No, I don't, but I know he's basically doomed in the election.
He's the dude that was head of the Guardian Angels. Remember those guys that wore the
That's
red
why
coats
he wears the cap,
and the berets? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly why he goes on the trains. They make sure people are safe in New York City. And it's actually pretty amazing, those people. We should we should talk about them sometime when we do a little more research. Yeah. But they're actually really amazing. They are Guardian Angels. One of the things I want to talk about, James, though, is did you see how the Department of Justice said they found the missing minute of footage from the Jeffrey Epstein cell video? Not only did they find the missing minute of footage, there is a mystery third person on that footage. 2 hours before Jeffrey Epstein is found dead, 4 a.m., there is a mystery person on that footage that nobody, not even the DOJ, can identify, James.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know who broke that story? I got to give him credit.
Who's that?
CBS.
Really?
CBS News is the one that found they're calling it the orange blob, because all you can see this little piece of the staircase that leads to Epstein's cell. Mm-hmm. And you see this orange blob because you can only see a small portion. You can't see the whole body, but it's obviously an inmate wearing orange,
It's either an inmate, and the easiest way to kill somebody would be just to get, pay an inmate to do it. In the cell, or it's somebody that's got an inmate outfit on pretending to be an inmate. There's two different scenarios here. What do you think?
I think it was an inmate. I think it was that guy. I don't have his name in front of me, but he was a known killer. He'd killed a bunch of people, several by strangulation. He was completely jacked. Yeah. And he was on the cell block, and a lot of people
remind everybody, how did Epstein die?
He was strangled, and he had 2 broken bones. This guy has arms the size of my legs. It would have taken someone very strong to break the hyaloid bone. And there's no way. If you look at the cell, first of all, what was all that frickin' linen doing in there? There was like 15 orange sheets.
And it looks like it was brought in afterwards.
Yes, it does. It looks completely staged. So let's say he got one of these sheets tied around his neck. He tied the other piece. There was nothing high. So he would have had to done this. He would have had to lean forward, which is the way Robin Williams died. You can kill yourself that way by asphyxiation, by leaning forward, even though Robin Williams and some of those people were suspected of doing it as part of a sexual self-pleasure routine, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah,
but nobody that's died like that's ever broken bones in their neck.
No, and that's extremely hard, because when you have that around your neck, all it's doing is choking off your air supply.
Right.
You know, to actually break the bone in your neck, you have to have significant pressure. You know, once you lean forward or something, it's just going to choke you to where you can't breathe. It's certainly not going to break your neck. It would just take way too much pressure. And then all of a sudden, there's this third guy that is possibly the guy that killed Jeffrey Epstein. The easiest way to kill somebody would not be to have someone get into the prison. No. It would be to have somebody that's already in the prison handle it.
Yeah, for sure. So why do you think Bongino and Patel are lying about that?
What do you mean? What did they say?
Well, they said, a month ago that Epstein definitely killed himself. They've watched all the video and they say he killed himself.
And you know what's crazy about that? Not only did they say it, it doesn't look like they're telling the truth. First of all, it looks like they're lying. I mean, you can see their eyes. But also, you're talking about they said, okay, first of all, they're saying the Jeffrey Epstein files were altered. So why in the world would his death certificate or whatever the file is on that not be altered too, to make it look like he killed himself? I mean, and then they say, oh, I saw the file. He definitely killed himself. Yet they say, oh, the other Jeffrey Epstein files are altered. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, they said that, they said they saw the video, the complete video, and that nobody entered the cell block. Then CBS goes and finds that, somebody entered the cell block. It's crazy.
And then the DOJ suddenly finds the missing minute of footage, which I still haven't seen, but they do have that person. How the hell did CBS find this person on video, but the DOJ didn't? Something dirty is going down here, James.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm telling you, it is such a crazy world we live in, Jack. All you and I can do is speculate. I mean, nobody knows. Somebody knows. I mean, those guys probably know exactly what happened. I mean, once again, I think it ties back to intelligence. That makes the most sense. Murders are covered up when intel's involved. I don't know if you saw this, maybe a little segue. We can talk a little bit about Seth Rich. Did you know that there's some movement on that?
What kind of movement?
Let's say Ty Clevenger on X. Yesterday, a government attorney asked me if he would consent to transferring the Seth Rich FOIA case from the Eastern District of Texas to D.C. I told him I've publicly referred to D.C. federal courthouse as the dirtiest federal courthouse in America. So no, absolutely not. So the people in the DOJ are trying to transfer the FOIA requests for Seth Rich and for the Seth Rich case. People have entered FOIA requests. They're wanting to transfer
requests like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're trying to transfer it. This is according to Joe Hoft at the Gateway Pundit, who's a pretty damn good reporter. But I mean, it's crazy. So 8 years, the headline, after 8 years of hiding documents, deep state DOJ asked to move Seth Rich case to the dirtiest federal courthouse in America. Now, why? It's time to really look. The Seth Rich case, in my opinion, Jack, the whole Russia collusion thing hinges on Seth Rich. The FBI claimed, and I think Comey committed perjury when he said this, he said that CrowdStrike would not let them look at the DNC files. So just to remind everybody, the Democratic National Convention, their emails got hacked by somebody, and it was a massive amount of information, and it was sent to WikiLeaks, to Julian Assange at WikiLeaks, and he published them. And there were many incriminating emails, particularly from Hillary, Podesta, Sharon Mills, Obama, Brennan, that whole group. There were incriminating emails, but The FBI said it had the, what do they say? The footprint of a Russian hack. They tried to claim that Russia hacked the emails. There's a problem with that. The file was so large, and I think we mentioned this last week, that it was not possible to transfer that file over the internet. It had to be done physically. So Seth Rich was a huge Bernie bro, right? Mm-hmm. He finds out that Hillary sabotaged the Bernie campaign and that the DNC was in on it. Bernie would have won. He would have won that deal in 2015. Mm-hmm. But the DNC and Hillary sabotaged his campaign. Seth Rich finds out about it. He's pissed. So he's going to leak the emails. And then because of the incriminating emails, he was murdered. I think it was 10 days later. He's murdered in a supposed robbery, although his wallet and watch were there. It's another Clinton kill list. So everything in Russia revolves around the Seth Rich case. And look, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the files are there. They need to open that case back up.
But, let's be real. I mean, is anything actually ever going to happen here? I mean, I know we'd love to see these kind of things, but we talk about it all the time. And for some reason, even when they have evidence, even when it's the people that we vote in that say, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, it still never gets done. So, I mean, it sucks because you and I and the rest of everybody on our side voted for justice. That was the number one thing we voted for. My doormat on the front, and actually it's in my garage. My doormat that's on the garage, in the door from the garage to the house, actually says Trump Revenge Tour 2024. Because that's what I voted for. That was my number one issue. Damn immigration. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Immigration was huge. Prices were huge. But revenge is what I wanted. Justice. I wanted revenge on the federal government. Not really the federal government, but the people that were in the federal government for the last 4 years. Everybody that did everything as dirty as they possibly could. And, and we still didn't get it. And that's what bothers me. But I do want to say, James, that people, even Democrats, are starting to turn the tide. Do you know who Democrat Rep Jason Crow is?
No.
I had never. Yeah, I had never heard of this man until today, but he is apparently a Democrat representative in the House of Representatives. His name is Jason Crow, and he just said not 30 minutes ago that working people cannot afford to live in cities where Democrats govern and have, in too many instances, not done enough to keep communities safe. This is a Democrat representative talking about Democrat cities, saying that, you can't live in these cities. And the funny thing is, the picture that's right next to him is one of Gavin Newsom, who has absolutely destroyed his state, and I find that to be funny because he is absolutely, if everybody is leaving California in large swaths, we're talking about, I think U-Haul, the most rented U-Haul in the world is from California to Florida. That's the most rented U-Haul trip in the country. It's amazing what's going on right now, but yet the Democrats never seem to change their policies. They never seem to, and in fact, they only double down. They make things even worse. And I think that's what's going on. But I will say that there are some good things that could come out of these things. Like we talked about how maybe some of these things could actually lead to something. Like Christopher Wray was actually just criminally referred, mind you, to the Department of Justice. He was referred because allegedly misleading Congress on multiple issues, making false statements, obstructing justice, yada, yada, yada. But how many people, James, have been referred to the DOJ recently? You're even talking all the way back to Letitia James, who did the damn, the mortgage fraud scam, and she was never arrested for that. You're talking all the way back there. And nothing has happened. I don't know how many people now have been criminally referred to them, and nothing has happened to any of these people. Right now, the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, James, just opened an investigation into former Special Counsel Jack Smith, who may have unlawfully targeted Trump, is what they're saying. But what will come of this? I don't care about all these words anymore. What will come of this?
Yeah, I don't know. And some of it does take time. The thing is, they being the Democrats and the Uniparty, rushed to get Trump charged criminally. And that's why a lot of those cases, in my opinion, fell apart. They were weak cases. They didn't build
the
a
cases
case
don't
at
matter.
all.
I want handcuffs. If I can get my
Well,
mugshot, if handcuffs, if I can get the perp walk, James, that's what I want. The perp. I don't even care if they're punished. I want the perp walk.
Let's talk about Letitia James. So in May of 2025, the FBI opened a formal criminal investigation, including a federal grand jury in Virginia. So that was May. As of August 3rd, today, no criminal charges have been filed. My point is May, June, July, 90 days. You know, I think you got these cases usually take longer to bring than 90 days.
They've been investigating this long before they open the investigation. They have all the evidence that they need. That was the whole reason for opening the investigation.
Yeah, well, I mean, you might be right. Look, I'm not arguing with you about it.
No,
I mean,
I know.
It's all too slow.
It is very slow because they charge Trump like that.
We have been saying now for 6 months. Well, how long has it been since they've been in office? Something like that.
It's been about 6-7 months. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that, hey, we want justice. And what about this? What about that? And we really, to date, we haven't seen one arrest. That's discouraging.
Not very one. And that's the thing. Very discouraging. James, I don't care if they don't get a conviction. I want the person arrested. I want them to have to face trial. That will stop future things. Even if they're not punished, people will think twice before they do something stupid. If they are actually arrested, walked on that perp walk where they cover their head with their suit jacket, you know, like we don't know who the hell they are. That is what I want, James. And we're not getting it.
Yeah. And I really don't understand. I mean, the Democrats did one thing very well when they went after Trump and his people. I mean, think about what they did to Roger Stone, 3 a.m. with like 20 SWAT guys. They had a freaking tank out there, you know? I mean, come on.
They surrounded a former president's home knowing he was going to be the future president, and they still raided his shit. Not one of these people we've talked about has ever been raided.
No, I know. And the Roger Stone case is another one that was a total scam that they completely set him up. I mean, they have the evidence of what happened in that case. You know, they shouldn't just let that go. I mean, you know, the Bannon Navarro thing, the 2 of our guys that actually went to prison, you know, there's not much you can do there because they claimed executive privilege, and that's why they didn't appear before Congress.
And they weren't charged with
lying.
In jail for a while, though, didn't they? Wasn't he in jail for a while before they actually did whatever they did? Roger Stone. Did they not put it? Was he not in jail for a little while before they did that?
Yeah. Well, I was talking about Navarro and Bannon.
Yeah. I was just going back to Roger Stone watches the show, so I just wanted to, put that.
No, I know, but I think they need to reopen Stone's case. Figure out who the hell set him up. I don't have the details of it. I reached out to him the other day. I'd love to get him on this or the radio show, either one. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we can get him on here eventually. We need to do that, Jack. You need to work your magic with Roger.
I would love to hear his side of everything.
Well, yeah, I'd like to hear the details because people in the DOJ that went after him need to be held accountable for that. That's total bullshit. My point was Navarro and Bannon, a judge ruled they didn't have executive privilege. Really not much you can do about that. But Roger Stone was set up. It was a phony case. And these people that used the lawfare to go after Trump, Roger Stone and the other Trump associates, they need to be held accountable. That's what the whole Russia investigation is about, is holding those officials who used lawfare against our side accountable. And what they've done, Brennan and Comey have been referred to the DOJ, but I haven't heard anything about that. Have you?
No, everybody's been referred to the DOJ. Hillary Clinton has even been referred to the DOJ, and nothing's happening there. I will say, though, there's 2 things about something that's very interesting to me. One, James, is that for the first time in 50 years, America has experienced a negative net migration. That means more people went out than came in. And I got to say, I like that. I like that because it usually means that also includes illegal immigration. So that's why did you know that in the last, I think it's 3 months, there has not been a single illegal alien that has crossed that border and gotten away or let go. I mean, it has been really incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Not only that, but there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about with that. It was amazing how well they're doing with this. I mean, with the whole immigration thing. I mean, you've got people that they're not even having anybody come in illegally anymore. You got to think about how wide that border is. Biden let in millions. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands daily. You know, millions over the course of just a few months. Trump has not let in a single illegal alien. And I will say that bodes well for us, but other countries that don't have Trump, like England and Wales. Did you know that the number one baby name, James, in England and Wales for 2024, what do you think it was? I want to know. Give me a guess. What was the number one baby name? Now, these are English people and
I know because I've read it. It's Muhammad.
Muhammad, exactly. Muhammad is the number one baby name in England and Wales.
Dude. It's lost.
It's unbelievable. Have you seen the videos? I'm talking tens of thousands of people lining the streets and literally bowing over and praying. I mean, it's weird, though, how Islam is people say it's a religion, but it's more of a political ideology, if you ask me. And it seems to be, taking over the world. I mean, I know that it's huge, kind of like, Catholic and all that, how there's so many Christians and all this. But it seems like Islam actively recruits. And almost it's just so strange how so many people. Did you know that there was a thing, I saw it somewhere, where children that are in preschools and stuff that are and this happened in America. They were in a Christian preschool or whatever. When the parents left, these teachers took these hundreds of students to a mosque, to an actual mosque, to pray and learn about Islam instead of Christianity when their parents left. And before they came to pick them up, they brought them back. I mean, we've got a serious problem, not just over there, but over here, James. And it seems to be taking over a lot of places. Just take a look at, and it's communist ideology. I mean, just take a look at New York. You got, Mamdani, but then you've also got a person that's most likely going to be the future mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is one of the most left-leaning cities in the entire world. We're talking about Omar Fateh. I mean, you are talking Islam is a religion and a political ideology taking over basically the world at this point, James.
Well, what's frightening about Minnesota, Minneapolis in particular, it used to be one of the most beautiful, lovely, prosperous cities. Oh my gosh, in the country. Well, Barack Obama, I mean, this targeted illegal immigration, and not just all illegal, because a lot of it was asylum, but these targeted immigration. So under Obama and then Biden, they decided that Minneapolis would be where they send all Somalis. Now, I have nothing against Somalia, even though it is an S-hole country. The corruption, it's estimated that over $250 million was siphoned off in COVID relief by the Somalis in power in Minneapolis, $250 million alone in COVID relief. The corruption is rampant because in that culture, corruption is how you get by. If you're a public official, you use bribery, extortion, blackmail, whatever, and no one's doing anything about it because the people in power. I should have sent you this video. There's a video of the current mayor. I think his name is Jacob Fry, if I'm not mistaken, in Minneapolis. Remember, this is the same state, Tim Walz, right? But Jacob Fry's the mayor of Minneapolis, and he's dancing to the Somali music with the Somali headdress on and stuff. And I mean, look, I have no problem. America is strong because we had strong immigration, but the people that came here in the past assimilated. That's the difference. These groups, these Somalis, literally, they say that Minneapolis is the biggest country, Somali country outside of Somalia. They don't assimilate, Jack. They bring their culture, which very often includes, the dissing of women, horrible treatment for women, the rape of children, and rampant corruption. And it can't continue. I don't know what can be done about some of these cities like Minneapolis. To me, it's almost like England. It's like lost unless the federal government gets involved. And I think Trump has threatened that to pull funds unless they clean some of this corruption up. And I don't know what else to do. What do you think?
And you're right. I don't know what can be done. I mean, especially in America, we have these, we have all these protections, but with the Constitution, you're allowed to practice your religion, you're allowed to do this and this and this. So, I mean, what can be done about this kind of thing? I mean, it does not, Islam as a religion and an ideology does not mesh with Western civilization. Okay, so one of those two have to go. We're not going to be able to coexist because we have completely opposite ideologues. And right now, while Western civilization is the dominant ideology, Islam is the violent ideology. So they are willing to push and force themselves into Western civilization. So, I mean, and then with the protections that we have on religious freedom and things like that, I don't know what could be done. But I mean, not only do we have that to worry about, which, is a huge thing to worry about, especially with everything that's going on, but then we have other things like, do you know, I want to ask you, do you know who Alyssa Slotkin is?
Name's familiar.
She's a Democrat senator that used to work with the CIA.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. She actually came out on July 31st and made it a point to say that the CIA is not part of a secret group running the world. And I found that to be interesting because, first of all, I don't know if anybody actually asked her that question. It didn't seem like anybody asked her that question. She just came out and said that, having already been part of the CIA. But then, we've got the religious, freedom thing to worry about, and Islam taking over a lot of parts of Western civilization. As we said, Muhammad is the #1 baby name in England, and they're taking over like New York and Minneapolis. And then we've got the CIA and other groups that actually are part of some kind of loosely affiliated cabal that run different parts of the world and affect different things. And who's to say, James, that maybe Islam isn't what they're trying to bring in here? Because if you can get that in here and you can take over with that, you can still, even though Islam may not be what you believe, you can use Islam to usher in a communist ideology. And that ultimately seems like whatever cabal, the globalist cabal, want. They seem to want that communist ideology.
I don't think they want communism either. You got to remember, this same cabal, the deep state that we're talking about, fought communism for 60 years. I mean, the biggest anti-communist were guys in the CIA,
but I think
and
that
the OSS.
changes, it changes
I think
over the years.
I think now when I say they don't want it,
maybe their research shows that they
use it.
Yeah.
They want to use it.
There you go. I don't think they actually care about communism. It's a tool. It's a tool.
It's a tool because they want to divide us and they want to rule us. They want more power. If it means using Marxist ideology and getting students on campus all riled up with this radical anti-colonialism claptrap, that's what they'll use. If they can use race to divide us
and that's get the number one thing.
Yeah. I mean, Barack Obama started it when he was elected. We talked about it many times, how race relations were on an upward track up until 2008, and they started to go downhill. People see race relations in America right now worse than they were under Jim Crow. They use anything and everything to divide us, divide and conquer. That's all it is. I mean, Brennan's not a frickin' Marxist, but he loves the ideology. I mean, Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals that Clinton and Obama kowtowed to this guy. I mean, Hillary actually knew him and hung out with him. Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals are straight out of the Marxist-Lenin playbook. They use it to control. That's my point.
You're absolutely right. And it is just another tool for them to control because that's what they want. They ultimately want that control. It's what they crave and it's what power does to you. So James, I want to switch gears for a second though, because I want to ask you about something. Apparently there is, and this is per Deadline, there is actually a report out there that President Donald Trump, and I don't know why, so maybe you know why, but there is actually a report out there that President Donald Trump is considering a full presidential pardon for Diddy ahead of his sentencing. Do you know what that's about or even why?
I do. I listened to the interview and Trump was asked, it's been rumored that you might consider pardoning Sean Diddy Combs. And Trump went on his rambling weave. He said, look, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, basically, Diddy and I were friends back in the day. And then it turns out he didn't like me once I got into politics, but I don't care if someone likes me or not. What he said was, hey, I'll look at any case if I feel like, if I feel like the guy was treated unfairly by the justice system, I consider it. That's all it is. It's a rumor. Somebody started. It's bullshit. He's not going to pardon him.
Good. I sure hope not, because that would be absolutely insane.
Nah,
because it's funny because they won't pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Did you see that she wanted a pardon or at least immunity in exchange for her testimony? But the Republicans actually shut that down. They said, no, we're not going to give you immunity in exchange for your testimony, because nobody apparently wants that testimony to come out, James. I mean, why not just give her immunity? She's already in prison for 20 some odd years. Who cares about any future things? They don't want, apparently, there's a lot of information that both sides don't want coming out.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to let the Epstein thing go. Once again, I don't think Trump is implicated like people think. I mean, I don't think he wasn't boinking underage girls, but he was very, very, very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And I mean,
everybody was when they thought he was, that tycoon.
No, I know. Yeah. But see, I think Trump, this is my opinion only. I think Trump doesn't want that getting out because I think he thinks it makes him look bad. That he really was good friends with him. Mm-hmm. No one cares. His base doesn't care about that. I mean, ask Green Eyed or Deborah, any of these people on the comments. No one cares. We know he was friends with Epstein. That's my opinion why Trump is kind of irritated with it. Now, I also think, and we've said this many times, if the videos were released, it would compromise many powerful people. Some people have gone as far to say that it would literally destroy the world economy if those names were known, that those people did have sex with underage. But once again, Epstein was a financial guy. The girls were just a secondary thing. The CIA, the Mossad, MI6, these intel organizations, it would expose their money flow and how they use the drug trade and arms sales to illegally get money for operations. I think there's too much top secret shit involved in it, Jack. That's my opinion. They can't release all of it because it would compromise our intel services. That's my point.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Sure.
So apparently in Framingham, Massachusetts, which is a big suburb of Boston, there is someone running for mayor, and this is sad. I feel sorry for this man. Someone running for mayor, and yes, his first name is spelled differently, but it's Jeffrey Epstein is running for mayor of Framingham, Massachusetts, a significant suburb of Boston. I feel so bad for that man. His last name is spelled the same. His first name is spelled with the GE, but his name is Jeffrey Epstein, and he's running for mayor. I mean, you gotta feel bad for people like that, I mean, it's sad, people like that, all the people that had the last name Manson, anybody that has the name that's synonymous with evil or, terrible things. It's pretty crazy how those things have gotten out there. But did you see how they are actually trying to the Democrats? And this is how you know that the files have been faked, James. You want to tell you how you know that they were faked during those 4 years of Biden's administration? The Democrats are so desperate to get those files out, they are using a very rare and old arcane rule called the Rule of Five to get those. It's a Senate rule in the Rules Committee to get those Epstein files released. And they can get them released based on some arcane rule from the 1800s. If you go back and you look at all the rules, and they have people, staffers that search through all this shit. If you go back and look at all the rules throughout the history of, the Senate and the House, there are rules that people don't know about that can force things to happen without a vote. And people don't know about them, but they're using one right now to get the Epstein files released because they know that the files have been altered. How much you want to bet that once these are released based on that rule, that Trump's name is all over him? And I'm not talking about just for being Epstein's friend, that there is not a single Democrat in that pile.
But once again, what does Epstein files. What does that mean? I mean, look, we've already seen his contact book. We know who flew on his plane. The only thing that's there, and it's a lot, are the videotapes. And there's thousands of hours of videotapes. Are you saying that's what they want to release, the videotapes?
Look now, check this out. Okay, so apparently, and this is something that's separate but also has to do with that. Okay, FBI Director Kash Patel found thousands of Trump-Russia collusion hoax documents in burn bags in a secret room within the Bureau. And I think that has a lot to do with what's going on with the Epstein files. These files are going to be faked. So that's why they want them out, because not only, we're not talking about videos and stuff, we're talking about files that might have, transcripts from audio, faked transcripts from audio that say, oh, Trump's doing this and this is happening and this is happening. And then they could be in these, they found these fake documents in burn bags in the FBI, the Trump-Russia collusion fake documents. So if those exist, I can guarantee you that the fake Epstein files exist. And when I say files, I'm talking about audio transcripts. I'm talking about photos. I'm talking about things that can be faked to make it look like all these people were in on it while actually keeping the real people out of it.
Yeah, I think it's a stretch if they're going to try. I mean, look, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean,
why else would they want them out, though, so badly as to use a rule that's never used?
Well, because they think it'll hurt.
They would be on it.
They think it'll hurt Trump. And to be honest with you, the president hasn't done a very good job of deflecting that suspicion. As a matter of fact, the way he acted with that reporter and then what he said after that, like people that are not smart, dumb people are asking, for the Epstein information to be released.
Wrong, just like Pam Bondi, though. Their messaging on this issue has been incorrect, but it's also because I think they've been flustered. I think that they first thought they were going to release these files. They were on her desk. Then they actually reviewed the files, saw that they were clearly faked, that there's clearly some nefarious BS going on here. And now the Democrats had 4 years to release these files. 4. They didn't release them until Trump comes into office. Then they do everything they can to release these files. I'm telling you, man, something stinks here.
Well, I know that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Why didn't they release them then? If it would have hurt Trump.
Yeah. That's the whole point. If they released them then with Trump's name all over it and these fake audio transcripts, nobody would have believed it. Oh, the Democrats, they ran the president, they controlled it all. But if they can get it released while there's a Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican House, oh yeah, you better believe it's going to lend some credibility.
It's such a complicated.
It's very complicated
issue, and Epstein's activities, his activities were so involved. And like I've said many times, and read Whitney Webb's book, One Nation Under Blackmail. It's all about Epstein and his ring of associates. 99% of the book is about dark money. He was an expert at making money disappear into overseas accounts, into offshore accounts. I mentioned it last week. He was very involved in Iran-Contra. He was friends with the biggest arms dealers in the world, drug dealers. So it wasn't just the girl thing. The girl thing is what titillates everybody because it's pedophilia. But, I mean, I'll tell you, the whole pedophilia thing, and I'm not really switching gears, I'm moving a little bit different direction. Mm-hmm. There is something to this. And Epstein wasn't your typical pedophile. Epstein liked young teenage girls. He was more into the 15, 16, 17-year-old girls. He wasn't into diddling little boys like we think of now. I'm not excusing, it's just as bad. He's having sex with underage girls and he trafficked them and he, false pretenses, all that stuff. But like the Macrons, do you know that every French president has a portrait taken and at this one desk, and the president can choose like the background? Well, he had one book in the background, and the book, he said, was by his favorite author. The guy was a known pedophile who wrote about traveling to Morocco and buying 10-year-old boys for his sexual pleasure. My point in this, his Brigitte is now known trans. She was 40 when he was 14. and, groomed him to be her sexual partner. There's something about the elites and pedophilia. And I heard someone talking about it. It's like when you've got all this money and you have all this power, anything is at your whim. You want a yacht to Cyprus? Oh, here, it's at the dock tomorrow. You want to fly to Tahiti and have 6 girls service you on the way there and have every kind of drug you could possibly want? Yeah, it's there. What's the one thing? Children and sex with children. It's one of those deals where I think the power goes to their head so bad. My point is, a lot of these powerful, well-known politicians and other people associated with the deep state and the cabal, Jack, there's connections to pedophilia. Even the Bushes. I mean, it's a long story, but I could go down that road.
And transgenderism. It's like they're into sick
and
shit.
Transgenderism, yes. All of these weird, perverted, sexual things are associated with these people, and it's starting. The cover's starting to crack a little bit, and I appreciate people like Candace Owens and Tucker exposing some of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's funny how many things that that have been going on. Like I want to switch gears for a second. I don't want to ask you about. So I want to give you something funny to laugh at and tell me what you think about. Okay, so apparently there's a poll that came out that says that if it were Donald Trump against Barack Obama in a presidential election, that Barack Obama would win 52% to 41%. Is what's out there right now. If there were an election between the two, what do you think? Do you think he would win?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I mean, that's a tough one. The thing is, Trump has really garnered support among young people. It's shocking how many the Charlie Kirk army. I mean, particularly young men. Young men feel abandoned in this country, and Donald Trump, was kind of the answer for them. So I don't know. I just can't stand Obama. I don't even like to even think about it, to be honest with you.
And I completely agree, though. Trump has done, honestly, he's bringing America back. He just signed an executive order that actually brings back the presidential fitness test in public schools.
Yay.
The 1 mile run, the pull-ups or push-ups, the sit-ups, the shuttle runs. I loved that as a kid. And honestly, it makes America healthier rather than having people, that are obese children that sit on their ass, playing video games all day and eating snacks, rather than doing things like this. Like, you actually take the presidential fitness test in school again. You get the certificate if you pass. And, I used to love doing that because it meant, that you could accomplish something. And Trump is bringing that back. But he is actually, he's not making America great again. He's making America again.
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that's got to be addressed is this, and we mentioned, is this race issue. It seems to be getting worse and worse. I sent you a profile on X. I want everybody, I don't know if you can share that screen, that Ty Clevenger, this is the guy that beat that Holly woman unconscious. Yeah.
You talking about this right here?
Yeah. So this is
Montanez.
Not Ty Clevenger. Sorry, Ty Clevenger. He's the reporter that reported on something else that I had pulled up. Sorry. Yeah, Meriwether. I can't even see it. Montanez.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meriwether Montanez. This is the guy. He's been arrested. He was out on bail at the time this happened for some other violent crime, because I'm sure Minneapolis has this, or Cincinnati, has this no cash bail bullshit.
Was he the one that got out for $400?
I don't know if he got out for 400, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's a violent thug. He was part of the group. This is a man that beat a woman unconscious. It's just, and then, I said something about it last week. When I was growing up, if you got in a fight, I don't care what race you are, if you got in a fight, it was one-on-one. These guys gang up on people, and it doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. 5 or 6 of them, or 10 or 12, will beat one person. It's just so cowardly and disgusting And I don't know, Jack, what can we do? You know, fortunately, among the Black community, there's a really large segment of what I call Black conservatives that are raising the alarm and are saying, I don't want anything to do with this ghetto ratchet bullshit that's going on. And they're calling it out. Thing is, it's two white guys, me particularly an old white guy. My voice doesn't have that much power. But when we get African Americans in that community, like Kendall and like some of the ladies that have really popular YouTube channels, calling it out and saying, we don't agree with this. We just got to move forward and make progress. The problem is you've raised a whole generation of young Black people, particularly the women, who feel like the whites are out to get them, they're oppressed, and that they don't have to listen to the police. You see these videos of these people like, I don't have to listen to you. You're a cop. Shut up. You can't do that. I know my rights. Name and badge number. I mean, it's just on and on. It really upsets me because I fought for civil rights when I was growing up in the 60s. It was a big issue. I've talked about it. It breaks my heart that things are in such a sad state, but maybe with the Trump presidency and young Black conservatives, we got to get fathers back in the home. What is the federal government doing about that? I mean, are we still on this deal where you get more money from welfare if you're single? I mean, that should be a huge part of the Trump presidency, is fixing that disparity.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there's so many issues that it takes to get everything back together, because this all didn't happen at once. It started with, the safety nets, the welfare and the things like that. The food stamps started with that. Then it started, and then that split up family homes, because you get more income if you're split up. You have one child and you have no husband. You have a better chance to get more free money. And then it got worse and worse. And now we're at the point now where you're celebrated if you take 20 of your fellow race members and beat the hell out of one race member, especially if that race member is white. You are celebrated. If you go to a track meet with a knife, stab a white boy and kill him, you are put up a GoFundMe and get millions of dollars, a new house, a new car, and probably a not guilty verdict on top of it. That's what you get today if you kill the white race.
Well, I think I'm not a white to prison.
I sure as hell hope so. I'm not a white nationalist. I'm a kind of person that thinks that everybody should have pride in their own specific race. Sure, if you can say black power, why can't I say white power? Is it because I'm white?
What do you think about this community that's here in my neck of the woods? It's made a national story. In Arkansas, there's a community. They bought 160 acres. I don't know how many family, but there's several hundred people, and it's an all-white community, basically. They're celebrating. And they said, we're branching out, and our next location is going to be up the road in Springfield, which is my hometown here in Springfield, Missouri. So they're in northern Arkansas, which is not far from here, but they want to come to Springfield. Now, it's interesting about that because the media reports on it like, oh, these are white separatists, they're racist, this is horrible. But a group of Black families got together a few years ago in Georgia and bought a bunch of acreage, and the plan was to start a community that was all people of color, Blacks, African Americans, and the media celebrated it. You can't have it one way and the other. I mean, it's either one way or the other. You can't have it both ways. That's what I'm trying to say. If it's racist for the white guys to do it, it's racist for the Black guys.
You're absolutely right. And you just came up with the ultimate point. The media is the cause of all the problems right now in America. They are the cause of the division. They are the cause of pretty much every single thing. They celebrate the beating of white people and, by a group of Blacks or whatever it is. They celebrate hate and division, anger. They promote it. And the media is the cause of the division. The media is the cause of all the problems, and it's not the media at all. It is the CIA, and that's why it takes me back to our first point. Operation Mockingbird is officially still in play and has always been in play. And that's why this is what's going on. I mean, hell, did you see the other day where a Black man opened fire in New York City and they said he was possibly white? They put his picture up on the news. They said possibly white male. The dude was as black as night, but he was a possibly white male. Now, let me tell you, there is a community in Texas that is strictly for Islamics. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a whole city that is strictly for Islamics. Now, let me ask you, James, let me ask you this. Okay. If a group of 50 families decided to get together and build their own community, right? A group of 50 families decided to get together, live in the same community, and build a community together. Would that be okay? But what if they were all white? Now, it's not about them being white. It's just them being together. But they can't be together if they're all white. Am I correct?
Well, I mean, all you have to look at is David Koresh in Waco, Texas. David Koresh had a certain religion, and he happened to believe in the Second Amendment, and he brought multiple dozens of families together, and yeah, he was probably a pedophile and having sex with the underage girls, but that isn't why he was charged. They were charged with weapons violations because apparently they had too big of magazines or something. So he's a white guy, and actually they had black people in their group as well. But so the feds went in and firebombed, they burned children alive.
The feds were actually the reason that the Waco thing happened, and all those people were killed, just like Ruby Ridge. Same scenario.
Absolutely.
Ruby Ridge, they killed all those people, and actually, they, believe it or not, the people that killed those agents at Ruby Ridge were found not guilty because they were actually committing self-defense against the government because those agents were firing upon them without any provocation. That was insane, just like the Waco thing. But I digress.
Randy Weaver's wife was shot stone cold dead while she was holding her baby by an agent. The first shot was fired by an FBI sniper. Shot his wife dead. Yeah, don't get me going on that crap. Hey, I do want to talk, if we could, talk about what's going on in Gaza for just a minute.
Sure.
I sent you some pictures. Look, Tucker has done 2 extraordinary interviews, and the one that I want to focus on a little bit. And let me say this at the outset. I don't completely buy everything this guy says. I've been a huge supporter of the right of the Jewish people to their homeland and Israel, but I also question the actions of many of the Israeli governments and what's going on in Gaza. This guy, Lieutenant Colonel, I'm going to forget his name. Anyway, he had 12 deployments overseas, right? And he was asked by a group to help feed people in Gaza. So he started this group, I think it was called GHA or something like that. But he basically said what he saw in Gaza is worse than anything he's seen in Iraq. As far as the destruction, show the picture, just the rubble. And I pulled up just a couple quick pictures. That's what Gaza looks like. Now, you think Hamas was hiding in every home? I mean, this is literally total and absolute destruction. So the UN is not, what's that?
Real quick, America, just to give both sides of the coin, what Gaza looks like right now is the same thing America does to all the countries that, same thing we do to other countries as well.
Well, yeah, to a certain degree, although I was in Iraq, and I mean, northern Iraq where we fought, there was nothing like that. I mean, the thing is, that's kind of my point is I think, and I'm not excusing any, military action America's been involved in, but at least
I fought in Vietnam and I saw the horror.
Yeah, you fought in Vietnam. I'm sure you did, youngster. But it's more targeted. Here's the bottom line. I encourage everyone to go listen to this interview because it really broke my heart. Show the pictures of the kids too. And now I do want to say that some of these pictures that were shown by the Washington Post and others were actually fake. They showed a kid who had a muscular disease who wasn't starving. But this guy's U.S. Army Green Beret, Tony Aguilar. That's the interview. Just go listen to it. Israel is doing everything it can. I do believe now, I really have come to the point where I think it's a genocide. And My main point is this. Why the hell is the U.S. involved in it? We're arming Israel. We're giving him $4 billion a year. If they want to commit this, and I know Hamas hides under hospitals. I get that. Hamas uses civilians as shields. I get that. They're horrible people, and I have no problem wiping them all out. But when the IDF doesn't allow women and children to be fed, one of the IDF soldiers said to this Aguilar guy, said, "You're an American, huh?" And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "What are you doing here? Are you here with the aid?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm here to help feed the people in Gaza." They said, "Why would you feed our enemy?" And Aguilar said, these were disabled women and children. At some point, the brutality, what is going, and look, there are very conservative, right-wing, even hawk people calling Israel out for this, Jack. And you asked me, you said, I hope you're not going to, throw a pity party for Gaza. I'm not. I believe they brought a lot of this on themselves, but I still think October 7th, to me, smells to high heaven. It was a 9/11 type event because the IDF didn't show up for 6 hours, which is total bullshit. They could have been there in 30 minutes. Israel allowed that attack to happen. This is my opinion. The leadership in Israel allowed the attack to happen. They allowed many of their civilians to be killed so it could be their 9/11. What happened after our 9/11? We passed the Patriot Act and we went and took over several countries in the Middle East. I think the same thing's going on.
I mean, you're probably right. I do want to say that this is just my personal opinion. I don't care either side. Doesn't bother me because I think America should not be involved in other countries. I mean, we're policing. We're the world's policemen, apparently. And that's why all these countries hate us. That's why all these terrorists want us dead, because we're effing around in other people's business. I mean, yes, I condemn genocide on either side. The worst thing I have seen in a long time is what's happening to the white people in Africa, in South Africa. That is absolutely sickening. And if you want to talk about genocide, and I mean, that to me is horrible because I mean, it's just that's just sickening. But
I agree.
But I still don't think America should get involved in that either. Now, if they want to come over here and apply for asylum, that's fine. But I don't think we should get involved in that. America just needs to look out for America. We need to not. And you're right. What happened on October 7th was absolutely, to me, what happened on October 7th was a Pearl Harbor. It was a Pearl Harbor. It was just like when FDR knew ahead of time that the Pearl Harbor was going to be bombed. But why? He let it happen because he needed support to enter World War II. Public support was against entering World War II until the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So FDR allowed that bombing to happen. And I'm sorry, my power seems to be flickering. Hopefully it doesn't go out.
Same thing Wilson did in World War I with the Lusitania. Yeah.
What happened? I do believe that is what happened with October 7th. So that way they could justify going to war. But I'm not on either side, Israel or Gaza. And why? I really don't care because, and these things happen all the time. I can't be like, this is bad. It happens daily in every continent, it seems like these days. I just want America to stay out of it. That's all I want. I want America to look out for America. And that's why I voted for America first.
Yeah, I agree. Quit sending $4 billion a year to Israel. Quit sending
to everyone. Exactly. Quit sending it to anybody.
Yeah.
All the countries in the world would collapse.
I looked up why it took the IDF so long. I mean, it's the same excuses that were made about 9/11. Intelligence failures, underestimation, command breakdown, reserve logistical challenges, the overwhelming scale of the assault. I mean, it's BS. And look, this isn't me saying it. People think like the Israeli people, think as a block. The Israeli papers are all over this and calling out Netanyahu. And many people in Israel feel like this war is now. He is extremely popular right now, even though he won by 35% since the war. His popularity. Really? Yeah, he's well over 50% in Israel since the war broke out. But, because the media does such a good job. I remember the first reports with the babies were being raped and beheaded, and we found out that was all BS. It was just like when we went into Iraq the first time, and we were told that the Iraqi soldiers pulled babies out of the ventilators and threw them on the floor to die. And this girl said she worked at the hospital and saw it. Turned out she was the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter, and it was all made up.
That.
Yeah, and
she
it's
testified
like
in front of
Congress, and it was all live. I remember watching the live congressional testimony of Colin Powell talking about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I watched the whole damn thing.
His teeth, man.
He had me convinced that they had nuclear bombs and nerve gas. The New York Times had to come out 10 years later with a big apology about how they were in on it. So.
But see, and I feel for you when it comes to the things with Gaza and what's going on and the atrocities that are being committed on both sides.
Yeah.
The only reason that I'm indifferent to it is because not only is it happening everywhere, and it's the thing that bothers me the most though is the South African thing, because when you target somebody based on something they can't control, like race, that really, really angers me. So that's what
the Israelis doing with the Palestinians.
Well, yeah. It just, for me, it's more along the lines of they're just it's hard to explain. All I want is for America to be first and just stay out of everything. Why not just stay out of everything and concentrate on us? Do you know, James, if we took all the money that we give to all these countries yearly, we're talking trillions of dollars, we could house every person in America with a single family 3-bedroom home. If we just took all that money that we give to other countries and we could house there would not be a single homeless person in America, James.
Well, and the pushback from the intel would be, the answer is, well, if we do that and pull, all foreign aid here and there, then the Chinese communists are going to step in, or Russia's going to step in, and they're going to control the power. So, I mean, there is, there's an argument to be made that we do need to be involved in foreign affairs, but I'm kind of with you, man. We don't need to be the world's policeman anymore. There needs to be a limit on what we do.
And we seem to be the ones that have to do everything. Where's all the other countries, policing this shit? We, until Trump came along, we were footing the bill for the entire NATO. For everything. We've put the bill for every international thing there is. And we also are the ones that have to send in the troops, kill our own Americans. Where in the hell? There are like 200 other countries in this world. What's going on, James?
I know. No, I don't disagree with you, brother. I guess we'll have to leave it there. But, we did our best to solve the world's problems today. And I want to shout out to Deb and Green Eyed and Gigi and Freedom, all those people that join us live every night. We appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Mr. Jack Danger. And I'm James Clary.
James.
Yeah, brother. You've been listening to Secret America. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Secret America with Jack Danger and James Clary.